Okay, hey guys. So this is the new and updated how to build Starward Rogue, and then I'll do AI War 2 in the same video just for contrast. Video. This one actually has audio. So first of all, you're going to need to have the present latest version of Unity, which is 5.6.1 P1. The 64-bit version of the editor is not necessarily required, but is probably a good idea. If you're building on Windows, then it's going to require, during the installation, it's going to ask you what platforms you want to include, and does that include before it used to include the web player by default, and that was the only thing, and it wouldn't include whatever the platform you were on was. So if you were on Windows, it wouldn't include Windows by default. If you were on Mac, it wouldn't include Mac by default. You had to check those, and if you didn't, then it would freak out and miss all these DLLs and whatnot. Now, if you're building on the Mac or on Windows, it includes that platform by default. The web player is not even a platform anymore. It has WebGL now. And so, assuming that you're just building for your own platform, all you need to choose is the nothing, actually. Um, and you don't need standard assets. You do need the basic Unity files, and you can choose or not choose to install Visual Studio 2017 or 2015 at your leisure. I'm using 2015 on my main machine and 2017 on my Surface Pro. Doesn't matter. They're cross-compatible. So um, if you're wanting to compile for everything, then you're going to need to make sure that you have Windows, OS X, and Linux all selected. And whichever platform you're actually compiling from won't be in that list, but the two that are not your current native one. So in order to build, frankly, if you're going to do a 4 artist build, it's pretty darn simple. You can hit Control Shift B, or you can go into build settings this way. Should say Windows x86, you hit build, and then it should come up with whatever your file folder is, and then 4 artists. Now, what you're going to want to do first, you'll look in here and you'll see that there are a couple of folders. Well, there's a folder and there's the actual executable. Delete both of those because sometimes it can have some extra junk that it leaves in the data subfolder. And so then just have it compile directly. Now, of course, you can run the game straight out in the editor here, and you don't have to worry about any of that sort of thing. You don't have to worry about actually, compiling it. So every time you make a code change, it's immediately updated in the editor, all that sort of thing. So that can be helpful. But I'm going to assume that you're going to want to actually update this via Visual Studio as well, versus having to use Unity to compile this stuff. So that's where we come in just a second with, I can go ahead and crack this open. If I open starwardrogue.sln, then I'll open up whichever Visual Studio version you have. It needs to be 2015 or 2017. I don't think 2013 will work. Now I've got this stuff here and it should run just fine. Inside this solution folder here, it is auto-generating this. It also has references to things that probably are auto-generated. So you want to make sure that that's pointing to the, that's all good. Never mind. You don't have to worry about any of that now. They made that better. Assuming that you have opened the game in the latest version of the Unity editor, it's all good because it will have filled out the libraries folder here with the Unity assemblies that are actually from. Okay, good. Never mind. So the way that we're handling it on this particular project, you don't even need to have the Unity editor. That's pretty handy. Yeah, yes. Um, so that saves some trouble. You can do a rebuild here on the actual project. There's only one project file. It will create something called um, as- um, assembly-c#.dll. However, by default, it puts this in a not useful location. It's in the temp folder. This does nothing. It builds it, but it's not actually helpful. The way to um, actually then have it do something is to take it under the 4Artist Starward Rogue data managed and just pop it in there and replace it. And boom, you've just updated the 4Artist build. That'll work cross-platform, that DLL that was created. Having to do that every time you compile, of course, is pain. So what you can do is go under, it's not going to do it for me for some reason. You can go under properties and it will then let you select the output folder, which by default is like it's just temp unity vs underscore bin debug, and you change that to being instead, 4Artist Starward Rogue data managed. And next time that Unity gets updated, it will very helpfully undo that location. Um, it may actually, um, it may have directly done that here. Let's see. So yeah, it's updated that, which is good. It's updated that stuff, which all that is important. And then the path you can see right there, that would just need to be corrected. So if you're needing to do a lot of updates, then you can do that. But you may as well run in the editor if you're going to do that. It really, it's up to you. So all right, that's it for Starward Rogue. Now, for AI War, that is a beast of a totally different scale. So on this one, it has 3 separate projects. I can go ahead and check this in here actually. So this is 5.6.1 P1 update. Get my Gmail out of the way there. And so there we go. On the AI War side, you've got this one massive AI War folder, and it's got a mess load of stuff underneath it. It's got actually 3 Unity projects and then 2 C# projects. So under AI War external code, there's a solution here. And when you open that, it will open up this thing here, which has 2 projects, AI War external code and AI War external visualization code. These 2 things let you adjust the GUI or the map editor, the map generation, that sort of thing. The actual Unity projects are AIW2 Unity, that's the main one. And so that's this guy. And if you crack it open in Unity, then when you run it, assuming that you've precompiled all the prerequisites and so forth, you'll notice this is the actual game. And so you can come in and do what you're going to do. Mainly for testing. There's not really much in the way of logic in here. There is some in the actual game scene file, and there's a little bit in a few other places, but for the most part, it's very scant on actual game logic in this project. For the most part, the main code is in an external project, another one. So yeah, there's like what, 5 then? So this one is Arkin AIW2 Core. And when you open this one up, this has Arkin AIW2 Core, which has all of the like game logic that is AI War 2 specific. Arkin AIW2 third party has some third party specific stuff. Arkin AIW2 visualization has all of the stuff that is pretty much mine for doing the liar liar pants on fire front end. And so it's a visual simulation, but aside from actually being able to select stuff, um, and thus pass information, and give orders to the, uh, there's the actual like selecting and issuing orders mechanics come through here, but that orders and all that sort of stuff don't actually happen in this. But anything else that's actually related to visually showing what's going on happens in here, except for the GUI stuff, which is in the external one I already showed you. And I forgot to tell you, forgot to mention, whatever. There is also an Arkin Universal solution. This one is stuff that is not specific to AI War 2 at all. This is just kind of our external DLL of stuff. And it has a lot of really handy things in there related to just general class libraries and stuff that we've built up over time. Keith has split all that stuff out. So at this point, we've now got 3 separate solutions for things that are unrelated to Unity projects. And then we've got another 3 Unity projects, each of which has its own solution as well. Unity Prep is the next. This one here, AIW2 Unity Prep, this is the one that Synth and I spend most of our time in, but Keith hardly ever comes in here. This one has a central thing called Scale Examples, which has all of the ships in it that you can take a look at. Hold right mouse button, and then you can use WSID to move around, and Q and E to go up and down. Spacebar does not work as shift does go faster. At any rate, so you can look around at all this sort of thing, and these asset bundles have to be built in order for the main game to be able to run. In SVN, we do not keep the actual DLLs, the asset bundles, any of that sort of thing. It would be gigs upon gigs upon gigs of stuff, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 8 gigs of stuff that's cycling through there. It's nasty. So we don't want to do that. That number is only going up. And so that means that before you're able to actually run the game on your local machine, you have to build it completely. And one of the really handy things we have is save all assets under the Arkin menu. And this just makes sure that the Arkin database is completely up to date. And if it does anything more than like 0.01 seconds, then probably it wasn't quite. And so then that commits everything. Okay, 0.03 is fine. But that means it's being all committed to the disk, whatever was in the kind of working memory in RAM on the assets database for this Unity project, but not committed to the disk as well. So that's helpful to run before you do any builds or anything. To do the builds, you can just select your particular system underneath the Arkin window and hit build the Windows bundle or what have you. Now, if you just came straight into the prep project and you hadn't built the DLLs, then of course this is going to be freaking out all over the place because it's missing all sorts of classes, and you're going to be just swamped in errors all over the place. And so that's helpful. Oops. One of the things that can happen, which is kind of annoying with all of these multiple Unity projects open at once, is it can make you log in repeatedly. This is the last one. No, sorry, there's actually 4. Gosh. So the next to last one. This one is um, the AIW2 modding and GUI one. This one, you can't put code in an asset bundle, particularly. You can put objects that reference code, but you can't put the code itself in there. And so these things are where we're putting things like our font files, our icons, files, materials. We will be putting the sounds in here. A lot of the team color stuff is in here. We have some shaders that are in here, so that kind of code can go in here. We have some fonts, and there's these are working copy things. They're not something you need to mess with there. Um, and so we also have UI stuff where our prefabs for things like buttons and whatnot are in here. So those can be directly edited. Here again, same menu, save all assets, build Windows asset bundle, et cetera, et cetera. There's also an AIW2 to music one. I'll go ahead and open it up for the sake of completeness. This one is slightly different because it's only music. And so it only needs to generate one asset bundle, and it can be read on all of the different. Let's see here. Only needs to be able to generate one asset bundle, and then it can be read on all of the platforms. So we have it generating and going into global bundles instead, and that saves us some space on all the others. So this one, it just says build music asset bundle and only builds one. Now, for the most part, you don't actually have to open, you have to have it installed, but you don't have to actually open the Unity editor probably more than once for all this stuff, because we have these wonderful batch scripts here. So first of all, after you've gotten the latest version of everything, what you're going to want to do is run, we have these with A, B, and C, and then a bunch of other actual stuff by names. And the A and B and C are things that are kind of by importance. The A stuff is things that you would use in the course of just general day-to-day testing and local building if you're running on Windows. The Bs are things that are used for building for all the platforms for the most part, and for pushing to Steam. And the C stuff is just for pushing to Steam. So first thing that you have to do is run monobuild all.bat. That pops open a little window that says, here's the output of running these things. Sometimes it'll stall if it goes for more than like 30 seconds without doing anything, then it's stalled. And those were just some warnings, which we try and get rid of because it gets annoying, and then it goes through. So now what it has done is it actually built all of these different projects. These are all the external projects that I showed you from Universal External Code and the core project. So 3 solutions, I think 5 projects. And so it's built all those, and then it's pushed those DLLs and the MDBs that go with them, which are the Unity readable mono symbol files instead of PDBs. It pushes all of that stuff to Unity DLL staging, I think. No, it doesn't push it there. It pushes it to a variety of locations. One of them is reliable DLL storage here under Arc and DLLs. And then it also pushes it to each one of these other projects that uses it. So then if I click back in to one of them, you'll notice that it then kind of pauses there while it's updating them. Now, oh yeah, before that'll work, which I forgot to tell you, sorry. Before that'll work, the very first thing you need to do is set up your monobuild machine-specific setup.bat. There is a monobuild machine-specific setup.txt file that is there, and you can copy that and make your own batch file. The reason we have a text file and then a batch file separate is because the batch file is going to be machine-specific because it depends on where you have your AI War root folder located. If you're doing the Steam stuff, where that's located, and where you have Unity installed. Now, in my case, I've got a copy of this that says, okay, my actual Steam install path for 5.6.1 P1 is here. So that's my Unity path. Make sure the trailing slash is in there. My AI War path, so the actual path here that I've been looking at for all my stuff is there. Steam content path matters pretty much for me and nobody else. That location is there. And the super brief, I like having that as true, but if you need any debugging info to give to Keith, then you're going to need to change that to false. It keeps the mono build and all that sort of stuff from spitting out tons and tons of information. Now, you can't do the things that like the bundle builds and all that sort of stuff and the standalone builds. You can't do these things if the actual projects are open. So when I run the Unity bundle build all, it's going to come in here. It's going to try and build the music all OS asset bundle. And then that one actually ran because I think I closed that file out. But then these other ones, it failed because another Unity instance is running that project open. Oh my goodness. So if you happen to have those open, then the ones that are open will fail, didn't hurt anything. And then you can just come in and go build Windows or build all, whichever, in those particular projects. If you don't have those open, you don't have to open them. You can instead just run the Windows version of it or the build them all. If you run into any sort of problems, you can run this Unity bundle refresh all, which should rebuild the asset bundle databases. But another way to do it is probably just to open the actual Unity projects and then build from here. You can do save all assets first if you want to, doesn't matter. For the standalone build, it's much the same as the asset bundles. You can run, create a standalone build this way, or you can come in here and in the actual, this is the AIW, what is this thing? This is the AIW2 Unity one. In this one, there is Arkin, and then, oops, it's recompiling. There it goes. Now it's got build Win64, Win32, Linux, OS X, and all. And so typically, I'm assuming you're going to want to build the Win64 one, and I think that's what it builds by default. The Win64 and 32 have to be built separately because it doesn't have a universal build, unlike OS X and Linux. The 32 and 64-bit Linux ones get built in one go. Linux has to be done, or Windows has to be done in two separate ones. So at that point, assuming everything is okay, then it will run. The XML files that help tie everything together are under game data. And so you'll see like configuration and that sort of thing. The actual asset bundles go underneath their respective OS. So asset bundles _ win has the generalities of these. There are some that are under global bundles, which have everything. And any builds that you create will be under the builds folder, and then you can run AIW2, AI War 2, x64, or not the 64-bit version if you want, as you please. And that is the kind of quick and dirty way of getting AI War 2 built. Starward Rogue, by comparison, real easy. All right, thanks for watching.